Okay, so the meeting is officially being recorded. Again, good morning to everyone that's in attendance. I want to make mention of some things before we move further into the notes. And at that point, if you have any questions about some of the things I'm about to mention, let's talk about those things while we're in the meeting together as a group and come to some sort of a solution for it. And then we'll move further into what we're going to talk about for today. Okay, so the first thing I want to make mention of is your midterm is open and available. It is due by, as long as you log in tonight before 11:59 p.m., you're good. If you're late logging in, let's say for instance you're 11 o'clock logging in tonight and it spills over into the next day, you're not penalized for that. My main thing is just making sure that before 11:59 p.m. you access that midterm, because after 11:59 p.m. tonight, it's not going to be available for you to. It won't be available for you to access. So make sure you take care of that. The midterm is on chapters 1 through 5, as I promised and as I made mention of last week. I know that we've already dipped off into chapter 6, but that chapter is, you're tested on that material in the final exam. So the final exam, as I mentioned last week, will be chapters 6 through 10, but for the midterm for this week is chapters 1 through 5. There are 80 questions. They're all multiple choice and true false, and you have an hour and 30 minutes to take it. And it is set up where, yes, you have to answer the question. Let me say this. It's set up where you have one question at a time. You do have that, but you also have that ability that if you wanted to skip that question, go on to the next question, you can do that. Just continue to save your answers all along. But at that point, you're responsible for making sure you go back and answer those questions. That's usually the hardest thing with students when it comes to going past a question, because you don't know the answer right then. They always forget to come back. Now, I can't guarantee you that when you get ready to go back, it's not going to start you from the beginning. I can't guarantee you that. All I can tell you is save your answers as you go along that you won't lose your answers. But it is 80 questions and it's an hour and a half. And again, multiple choice and true false. Okay, so the biggest thing that I want to talk about before we get into the notes is your final project. Unfortunately, in a traditional world, this class would pretty much be on ground. Even if it's blended, there will be at least 2 days on ground and 2 days online. And I wouldn't have the issue that I'm having. But because the class is online now, I make preparations for students to come to campus. And fortunately, this class is all Birmingham students. So by it being all Birmingham students, you all have the opportunity to come to the campus to do your final project. So the final project is normally given on Tuesday of week 4. And let me first explain why you have to come to campus. This class is a class that pretty much focuses on the assembly of a patient's record, and it focuses on numbering systems of filing patient records. So with that being said, the final project that I give you is an opportunity for you to get some type of minute experience, because it's just a little bit of what it feels like to have to put a patient's chart or assemble a patient's chart based on the medical record documentation that you have. I do that because most of you all probably won't get a job as a unit secretary first to get that experience. And you probably won't even get that job that, you're working at the front desk. I'm not saying you can't get the job. I'm saying you're probably going to want to go ahead and just apply for a management job because that's what your career is based around, and that's fine. But let's say, for instance, you were in the process of doing that and you didn't find anything that you really liked at the time, and you decided, okay, well, I'm just going to go for 6 months to a year, get a job in the front office, or maybe get a job as a unit secretary in the hospital and gain me a little experience. Okay, if you take those type of jobs, that's where you learn about how to assemble and put a patient's chart together. You, especially in the hospital, because then you begin to learn why it's so important to make sure your patient's chart is organized the way it should be. You get to learn how like you go in a hospital now and you go visit somebody. If you've ever passed a nursing station, you see the big gray binders or the big green binders or the big brown binders, whatever color folders they have for that unit. You see those, but inside of there, if you ever open up one, there's a lot of colored tabs, there's a lot of patient labels, and there's a lot of different type of medical patient record documents. Those documents are not just thrown into that patient's chart. They may be for the time being when the patient first gets on their unit, but the unit secretary that is responsible for organizing and keeping all that stuff together, at some point, she's got to go and organize that patient's chart. Those papers that are just tucked in there sideways, upside down, or whatever the case may be, they're just loose. She's got to go fix all that loose paper. She can't have loose paper laying around. She's got to make sure that she's hole punched and filed away those patients' record inside of their particular folder that is designed for them. So you learn that kind of stuff when you have those type of jobs or you're in those type of settings. Well, I know that all of my students are not necessarily going to want a job like that. They're going to actually want to go into a management job. So what I try to do in this class, I just try to give you somewhat of a makeshift feel, of what that will feel like to have to put a patient's chart together. So the project that I created for students, and I just created the project. It didn't come with anything. It didn't come with any resources or nothing that I have. I created this at the top of my head because I know I have the background in that. So I know what that entails, and I see a lot of that. So what you do with your project, it's hard to do that project and you're away from campus because all of your documents that you are given, that stays on campus. That those documents doesn't go out or anything like that. It's not so much that it's real patient information. It is patient documents, but it's from cases that I have. It's from my resources and certain cases that I have that goes with the book. And then two, when you finish the project, you turn it into me that day. So with that being said, the easiest way to do that is for the students to come to campus. And I am making arrangements for you all to be able to do that. Now, what I did when I set the dates up, I went back to think, okay, in a normal world, and they were in class 2 days on ground, 2 days online, what days would they come to class? Those days are Monday and Tuesday. So what I decided, and normally in a modern world, my project is always on Tuesday of week 4, always. So I'm making arrangements for Tuesday of week 4 for you all to come to campus to do your final project. You're not going to need to bring anything with you but your book or whatever if you want to. We will probably be in a computer lab when you come because I'm already in 213 on Tuesday night. So if you came to the night session, you can just come in 213. Now, for the morning session, I'm going to make myself available at 10 o'clock. I'm normally not on campus at that time, but I will be on campus that day at that time, 10 o'clock, so that you all can come and do your project. If you can't come at 10 a.m., then you can come at 6 p.m. You can come that night. But I know that a lot of you all are working after 12 and 1 o'clock. So you probably can't come at the 6 o'clock. I may have one student within the class. I know that she could come at 6 because the morning she wouldn't be able to come. Okay, but for the rest of you all, you can come at 10. I'm not saying that, oh, okay, when I go there at 10, I'm going to leave at 12 because, you not there. No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is come at 10 o'clock so you can go ahead and do the project. If you know that you want to come that morning, and let's say, for instance, you can't come at 10, but you tell me I can come at 1 o'clock, or I can come at 12 o'clock, or I can come at 11 o'clock. That's fine. I just need to know. Because if I show up at 10 and I let everybody know what room it is, and by 10:15, 10:20, nobody has shown up, yes, I'm going to leave the room, but I'm going to go to my desk. And at that point, you're going to have to reach out to me. I will be done reaching out. I'm going to because I'm making myself available to come to campus. I need you all to respect me to do the same thing. So please don't tell me a time that you can come and then you're not there, you don't show up, because I'm having to arrange my schedule to be able to accommodate that for the students. And I'm okay with doing that as long as the students show up. So I'm proposing a 10 a.m. and a 6 p.m. Now, for the 6 p.m., let me just explain this for whoever's coming at the 6 p.m. because that's the time you can come. In 213, I have a student. She's the only student in that class. And I worked it out where on the night that you come to do your project, she's also doing her final project for her class. So it just works out. It's in a computer lab. Nobody's in that lab but she and I. So I have plenty of space. But that's at the 6 o'clock p.m. I cannot guarantee that I can get that same class in the morning. However, I'll try to work on that today. When I go to class tonight, I'll try to find out if there's anybody there during the daytime in that class. If not, you can come there on Tuesday at 10. If it is somebody in there, I'll text everybody and let you know what classroom I'll be in. But I'm going to make myself available at 10. If you say I can't come at 10, I come at 11, 12, or 1, that's fine. Here's the thing. Tuesday is really the only day you can come and do your final project. I cannot come and meet with you on a Wednesday. I cannot do that. Wednesday is that I cannot. My schedule is not going to allow that. Plus, on Wednesday, I have another class for a student that I meet with because she's an independent study student. And she arranged her schedule to meet with me on a Wednesday because that's the only day, according to her schedule, she could come. So we've already made arrangements for that. So I can't let anything interfere with that. And then Thursday, of course, is your final exam. So that's totally out. So Tuesday has to be your day. I'm a little flexible with my time. So pretty much once I go on campus Tuesday at 10, I'm pretty much stationary there because I got a night class anyway, and it defeats the purpose for me to go up there for a while, leave, and then I have to go back. So Tuesday is the day for that. Now, with that being said, now do y'all have any questions? Or do you all know off the top of your head what time you can come on Tuesday if you can't come at 10?
10 o'clock in the morning is fine for me.
Okay. All right, Stephanie?
I will have to call you because my son is having knee surgery on that Monday, and then I have to bring him back to the doctor that following Tuesday to change the gauze and stuff. So I will have to call you and let you know because I'm not for sure what time his appointment is for that Tuesday. But once I get him from that appointment, then I can and take him back home. I could be on my way back up here.
Okay, so what I need to know from you is, okay, when is the surgery?
His surgery is on that Monday. He doing a one-day surgery. But he have to come back. I have to bring him back to the doctor that next day.
But you don't know what time that appointment is.
I got it at home.
Okay. That's what I need to know. I need to know that today.
Okay, soon as I get home, I'll text it and let you know.
If you got that information, I need to know that. If I have that information, then I can help you plan a time for that day. But without that information, I can't help you plan.
Okay.
So, are you working that night at all? Are you working that day at all?
No, ma'am. I took off. I'm not working that Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, so if nothing during the daytime works for you, you're gonna have to sacrifice to come up there at night at 6 o'clock, and I'm okay with you doing that.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that'll be fine.
So, but if you say no, I really want to be there with him at night, and I'd rather come on during the day, then let me know, and then we just have to figure out a time during the day. But if nothing during the daytime works out, because at that point it'll be solely up to you, because I'm gonna be there at 10 until my night class is over with at 9. So if you say, well, I just need to come at 6, I know I have one other student that's probably gonna have to come at 6 because of her schedule. So that means I have the two of you all plus my student that I normally have. But again, everybody will be working on their projects. So it just works out. But the moment you see that time for that appointment, I need to know that today, and then I can either email you or text you some different times that you can come, that you can see work for you. And if you see it doesn't work for you, and the reason I'm saying that, you all, is because if I don't have a definite time that you can come, then that pulls me away when I could be at my desk trying to get grades and stuff done. That pulls me away from my desk, and then I'm just sitting in the classroom idle, and I don't want to do that. I need to utilize as much of my time as I can. So as much as I can get done, I need to do that. It's so much easier for me because a lot of my resources I need to get grades and stuff done, and a lot of my forms I have to fill out, those are all at my desk. I can't bring my desk down there with me. I got too much stuff. So that's why I say if you all can kind of tell me, then I'll know. I'll just work around my schedule and be like, okay, I need to get to a stopping point so I can go down there. And basically what I do is come down there and talk you through it and get you started and make sure, because I got to make sure you got everything. Because with that project, you get like patient labels, you get all of the forms, you get the folder, you get everything from me. And so I have to bring all the stuff down there to you, and then I explain everything to you, and then I just kind of let you work at your pace, and then you just bring it back to me when you're done. So Taquita, you do that for me, and then we'll go from there. So Stephanie says she's good with 10. Okay, Kiana?
I'm fine with 10.
Okay, all right. So again, I'm going to make myself available to be there 10 o'clock on Tuesday so that I can help assist you all with that. And then I'll try to find out about the classroom today, and I'll try to let you all know today so you can just kind of have a heads up. Okay, so y'all have any other questions about your midterm, your project, your final exam, of course, chapter 6 through 10. And let's see, I think that's about it. Make sure you do. Some of you have already done, a couple of you have already done your first initial post for your discussion for today. And I've already responded back to you. And I think maybe one person has responded back to me with their follow-up post. So just make sure you go and do one more post. And then I think that's pretty much it. I think the biggest thing is the midterm today and your initial post for the discussion thread. Your journal, you have until tomorrow night to turn that in. Complete your midterm eval if you want to. I mean, I don't make it. I mean, it's totally up to you if you want to be able to do that. I have that out there. And I think that's pretty much it. So what I want to do is I want to get into what you're going to be doing for this week. I kind of want to explain it so you'll know. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is in chapter 7, it talks about numbering and filing systems. So that's what you're going to be looking at when you're looking through chapter 7. And then chapter 8 talks about, let's see, chapter 8 talks about um, indexes, registers, and health data collection. So the first thing we want to talk about first is I want to go over the numbering systems, but they're going to be 3 different ones that we're going to talk about. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is pseudo numbers. That's the first thing I want to talk about. And I'm about to get ready to show you all my screen, so let me know if you're going to be able to see my screen. 1 second. Okay, so let's see. All right, now can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So some of the things that you're going to be doing this week that I can go ahead and tell you about is tomorrow you're going to be doing something called, you're going to be doing numbering systems. And when you do the numbering systems, you're going to be doing straight digit filing, middle digit, let's see, straight numeric filing, terminal digit filing, and middle digit filing. Those are going to be the 3 filing systems that you're going to be working with tomorrow. Okay, we're going to go over that in a little bit. It is going to be confusing in the beginning. It's going to be confusing, but we're going to do some examples online today so that you can get a better understanding. The other 2 that I want to talk about is a little bit more easier to maneuver through. That's why I want us to talk about those and kind of get those out the way. So let's talk about pseudo numbers first, because tomorrow you're going to do, like I said, the numbering system, the 3 that I named, the straight numbering, the terminal digit, and the middle digit. You're going to do an exercise on that tomorrow, and you're going to do quiz 4. And quiz 4 covers material from chapter 6 and 7. On Wednesday, you're going to do an activity on pseudo numbers and Soundex codes. So I want us to talk about that today because I know you're going to have an exercise on that, and then we're going to do some examples on those as well. And then on Thursday, you're going to do an activity on, let's see, Thursday you're going to do an activity on let's see, because I got it right here. Thursday's activity is let's get the name of it. Hold up, let's see. Thursday activity is on master patient. No, it's on disease, procedure, and physician indexes. And that's an easy procedure to do. That's a really easy assignment to do, but I'm going to go over that as well because I want you to have clear understanding. Okay, so let's start with pseudo numbers first. Okay, so if you can see my slide, the first thing that I say is pseudo numbers. I tell you what pseudo numbers are. And those are the things that are assigned to patients who do not have a social security number. Okay, that's what pseudo numbers are. These are numbers assigned to patients that do not have a social security number. So in the event that you are in a situation where you have a patient come to your facility and they don't have a social security number, a lot of times you have that with individuals that are foreigners. Like if they have just moved here or something and they haven't had a chance to obtain a social security number, then in those situations, you can't turn them away because they don't have a social security number. You have to just assign what you call a pseudo number. Okay, so you have to know in signing a pseudo numbers, you have to know the rules for signing the numbers. So I have that in the slide here. This same chart or whatever that you're looking at is in your book. If you haven't already looked, it's in your book under the section that talks about pseudo numbers. So let's talk a little bit about what the rules are, because once you know the rules, assigning pseudo numbers become easier. But you have to know the rules. There's no quick gimmick to it. It's just one of those things. Either you have to write them down and refer back to them, or you just kind of got to memorize. If you ask me, for the sake of doing this assignment, it's just easier to write them down or refer back to this slide. Like if you want to go back through the audio and refer back to this slide, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Pseudo numbers are assigned based on the letter that has been assigned to the number. And for the majority of this, just so you know, this is actually the alphabet system, the 26 letters. And it goes in increments of 3s. And that's pretty much how numbers are assigned. So you can kind of see on my slide, I have ABC assigned number 1, DEF assigned number 2, so on and so on and so on. So when you get to Y and Z, those are only 2 letters, but they're assigned number 9. Okay? Any questions so far before I move further?
No.
Okay. All right, now, so what are the instructions or what are the steps? If you look at number 1, the very first thing that you do is using the chart rules. So when I say chart rules, I'm talking about this right here. Using this chart, you assign the first 3 numbers by applying a number to the first letter of the patient's first name, middle, and last name. Okay, does that make sense? So like say for instance, so like if you have a patient, or her name is Carol S. Smith. Let's just say that's her name, Carol S. Smith. If you had to assign a pseudo number for her, what the rule number 1 is telling you is for the first 3 numbers, because I want you to look at bullet number 2. So look at bullet number 2 and look at what I have for my note. The pseudo number is the same format as the social security number. Oh, I need to correct the... Okay, the pseudo number is the same format as the social security number. So pseudo numbers, remember from the first slide, pseudo numbers are assigned to patients who don't have a social security number. So when you are assigning these numbers in number 1 and 2, you're creating a social security number for that person, but you don't call it a social security number, you call it a pseudo number. So if you know social security, look down here, number 2, you know the social security format is 3 numbers dash 2 numbers dash 4 numbers. So them first 3 numbers right here, let me highlight it on my slide so you can see it. These first 3 numbers here, those first 3 numbers there are these numbers up here in number 1. So if I've had a patient and her name was Carol S. Smith, to get my first 3 numbers for her, I'm going to assign a number to the first letter of the patient's first name, which is C. Okay. Her middle initial is S, and her last name is Smith. Okay, so that's a C, a S, and an S. So based on this rule chart right here, what will be her first 3 numbers? If the letters are C, S, S.
177.
Say it again.
177.
177. Okay, everybody see how you got that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, number 2 says use the date of birth to assign the remaining 6 digits. So these are these digits right here. So let me color them a different color so you can see. Okay, so for those numbers right here, to get these numbers, I'm going to assign a date of birth. And let's just say, for instance, her date of birth is May 20th, 1956. Let's just say that's her date of birth, May 20th, 1956. So to get those numbers, for these first two right here, you're going to put 05, okay? Then for these two numbers right here, you're going to put 20, and then for the last two digits, you're going to put 56. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So for Carol S. Smith, if I needed to assign a pseudo number for her, and you telling me that her letters are CSS, and the first three numbers are 177, so that means her full pseudo number would be what? 177
7052056.
2056. So 177052056. Does everybody understand how to do that?
Yeah.
Tiana?
Yes, ma'am.
I got it.
Okay, you got it. Okay. Now, what happens if the patient does not have a middle initial? Because that's going to happen. I have a note here that says, if no middle initial is given, assign a 0. So let's take that same patient, and let's say, for an example, Carol did not have a date of birth. So then at that point, what would you assign if she does not have if she didn't have a middle initial? You would have to give her a 0. So let's say, for instance, her name was just Carol Smith. How then would you write her number?
107. 107.
Yes, 107052056. Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so here's an example for you to work. I want everybody to do that problem, and then when you're done, just say I'm finished, and call your name. Just say I'm finished, Taquita, or I'm finished, Stephanie, and then we're gonna go over it. I'm gonna show you. We're gonna go over what the answer is. Okay, so I give you all a minute or two to look at this example and tell me what this patient's pseudo number is.
I got it. Taquita.
Okay.
I got it. Kiana.
Okay. Stephanie, you still working?
I got it, and I had to go back to my book
Oh, okay.
and get the letter assignment.
Okay.
I got it now.
So before I show the answer, you all tell me what you put for his pseudo number.
401.
401040385.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. 401040385. So everybody understands pseudo numbers, right?
Yeah.
So you should have no issue with that assignment. When you get that assignment on Wednesday, you should have no issues with that for the pseudo numbers. And basically, you're gonna have about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, probably about 10 or so that you're gonna have to do for your activity on Wednesday for pseudo numbers. Okay. So now let's talk about Soundex codes. Now, On the Soundex codes, that's also in your book. Let me tell you what page I need you to be on because I need you to look at the rules for the Soundex codes. So you should be on page 227 in your book. Now that's what mine is on my iPad. Yours may be a little different. But on my iPad, I'm on page 227.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, so Soundex codes are 4-character phonetic code. They're called phonetic codes. Another name for that is phonetic codes that contains letters, a letter, and 3 digits. The way the letters are created is using the patient's surname. Um, and when we talk about surname, last name, you know how some patients have surnames that sound alike, but they're spelled differently. When you assign a phonetic code, that gives that patient's records an opportunity to be filed together. Now, the first rule off the top is this: you cannot create phonetic codes, and this is just a rule. You just have to just know this rule. You can't create using letters from the patient's surname if it has A, E, I, O, U, W, H, and Y. Any of those letters, if you see that in that patient's name and you're trying to create a phonetic code, those letters have to be skipped. You can't assign a digit to those letters at all, period. And that's just the rule, okay? Just like medical terminology, when you got rules, that's just the rule. That's just what you can't do. So you just have to remember that. So the way you do with phonetic codes or sound codes, you assign the first letter of the patient's name as the first character. Now I'm on page 227 still in the book. Rule number 2, do not assign a code number to the first letter of the patient's last name. Do not assign a code number to the first letter of the patient's last name. Assign just one code number when 2 or more key letters or their equivalents occur together. Now, if you look on page 227 at the top, there is a chart up there. The chart says key letters, code number, equivalents. What does that mean? Okay. If I have a key letter of B, I'm going to assign it number 1. And so the equivalence of B being assigned number 1 also suffices for the letters P, F, and V. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say, for instance, I'm looking at key letter C. I'm going to give it code number 2. And the equivalence of that is SKG, J, Q, X, and Z. Look at key letter D. The code letter is 3. It only has one equivalent. That's T. So that means pretty much you can only assign number 3 to the letters what? What 2 letters? D and T, right? D and T are the only ones. Look at letter L. It has a code number 4. It has no equivalent to it. Okay? It's just key letter L, code number 4, no equivalent. Same thing with M. It has code number 5. Key letter R has code number 6. It has no equivalent. Okay, now none of this is going to make sense until we actually do an example, right? Okay, hold one second. Okay, so let's look at let's try to do us an example so you all can better understand it. So I got two examples on this slide right here. So let's look at the first one first. The patient's surname is Babbitts. So the patient's first name is Babbitts. Now let me make a notation right here that's also in your book. And it's going to be in rule number 3. Look at rule number 3. It says assign just one code number when 2 or more key letters or their equivalents occur together. So in Babbitt, you got 2 B's. When you have that, don't say, oh, okay, well, I need to assign 1 twice. No. You still only assign number 1 that 1 time. Even though those are double letters or occurring together, you still only give it that one number 1. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's do this first. Let's look at Babbitt's. In Babbitt's, would you tell me, and if you get the answer wrong, it's okay, we learning. Would you assign a number to that first B?
No.
No. B is the beginning of your phonetic code, because remember what I said right here from the beginning. Soundex codes are 4-character phonetic codes containing a letter and 3 digits. So the letter is the first letter of the patient's last name, which is their surname. You wouldn't assign a number to that because that starts the beginning of your phonetic code. Your phonetic code is going to always start with a letter. And that letter that it starts with is the first letter of the patient's last name. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
So that means if this patient's last name was Anderson, you would start with A dash and then 3 digits. Or if the patient's name was Jackson, you'll start with J dash and 3 digits. Or let's say, for instance, the patient's name was Lord, it'll be L dash and 3 digits. So that's why rule number 2 says do not assign a code number to the first letter of the patient's last name. And that's why number 1 says assign the first letter of the patient's last name as the first character. So if this patient's name is Babbitts, the first letter of the patient's last name is B. So you're going to put capital B dash. Now we got to figure out what the 3 digits are. Okay. So we already know based on code number 2, based on code number 2, that we can't assign a code number to the first letter of the patient's last name. That's because that's our first character. Can't assign a number there. The rule we already know too, based on this slide, can we assign a number to the A?
No.
Okay. Now, for the 2 B's, the double B, rule number 3 says only assign 1 code number. So what is that code number going to be based on that chart that's in your book on 227? What is the code number for B? 1. Everybody got that so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can we assign anything to the O?
No.
Can we assign something to the T?
Yeah.
Yes.
What do we assign to the T?
3.
3. Okay. Can we assign something to the S?
No.
No.
Yeah.
What do we assign to the S?
2.
2. Okay. So that means for Babbitt, this patient's name Babbitt, what would be that patient's full phonetic code?
B-132.
B-132. Everybody got that? Anybody confused?
Yes.
Nope.
No.
At first I was.
At first you was, okay. Okay, dude, does it make sense now?
It does when you, I didn't understand what the equivalents were going to be used for.
Yeah, see your equivalents, like say for instance, Your equivalents just let you know, yeah, for C, you assign a number 2, but that number 2 is also equivalent if you have a S, K, G, I, Q, X, and Z.
Right.
Okay, so what I'm telling you is when you all do your Soundex codes, when you do that activity this week, you're going to have to make sure that you're using that chart on page 227 in your book. If you don't use that chart, I wouldn't memorize that. If I don't have to memorize that, I would. Even if you got to get a picture of it on your phone and have it sitting next to you while you're doing that activity, don't memorize that chart because that's a hard chart to be trying to memorize. You just need to look back at that chart. Let that chart be a reference for you. Okay? So let's do this other example. This patient's last name, surname is Serbaki. Okay. So with Serbaki, what's going to be our first character?
The S.
The S going to be the first character. Now, can I assign anything to the E?
No.
Can I assign something to the R?
Yes.
What?
A 6.
6? Okay. Can I assign something to the B?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
1.
1. Now we got another rule. See, the A, we can't assign nothing, but you see the C and the K. The C and the K both are, the C is the key letter, K is the equivalent. You would think that I can assign 2 twice because I got a C and a K. No. Rule number 3 says only assign 1 code number when 2 or more key letters or their equivalents occur together. So even though the C is the key letter, K is the equivalent, you still only assign 1 digit. What would that digit be?
2.
So what is Serbaki's phonetic code?
S-612.
It's 612. And there's both of them right there. Okay, anybody have any questions? Anything that still just doesn't I just don't get it?
No.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So let's do another one. Let's say we have a patient, and this is not in my slides. This is just something random we're talking about. So let's say I have a patient whose last name is Anderson. I want you all to write out on paper or write down the word Anderson. That's the surname. And I want you all to tell me, I give you a minute, just shout out when you're done and tell me what the phonetic code is.
I think I got it. Either A536.
A dash what now?
536.
536. Yes. A dash 536.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So let's do this one. Last name is Mann, Mann.
These have to be 3 or 4 digit codes, right?
They have to be a 4-digit code with the first character being a letter. Yeah, I gave you this one for a reason.
Okay.
Is it
Think I got it.
okay? Because I was going to say, is it 0 M dash 0 5 0?
Say it again. M dash.
M-050.
Do it again. Try one more time.
Okay.
M-500.
Yes. Now
Or would it?
tell me why did you do that?
Because the A doesn't get counted, it gets skipped,
Right.
and we go on to the end, and the end can't be double counted. So
15.
yeah, the first digit would be 5, and the other two zeros.
And the other two zeros. Okay. So the reason you added those zeros is because rule number 5, add zeros if the name contains less than 3 key letters or the equivalents. So because you can only assign that 5 because of that N, that's it. Because you can't do that N twice. So in actuality, after that first N, you're 2 digits short of being a full phonetic code. So when you're less than the required amount, you just fill them in with zeros because a phonetic code has to be a letter followed by 3 digits, whether it's a 0 or some other number. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Um, okay, y'all got any questions so far? You good?
So far.
So when you're doing your Soundex codes, 2 things. Have 227 up that chart, and in addition to that, be looking at your rules. Okay? Because the one thing I told you I like about this book, I absolutely love this book because it will give you examples all the way to the end. And it will give you several examples. It'll give you 7 different scenarios. And if you look at the examples really well, you will have no issues. Okay? But you got to be really careful because sometimes students be on the right track, they understand it, but they kind of be looking at the letters and stuff and they kind of get off track a little bit. So you just kind of got to look at your letters really carefully before you start assigning your numbers. Okay? So if y'all don't have any other questions about that, the last thing I want to talk about, which is the biggest thing that is so confusing, is the numbering systems for straight numbering, terminal digit, and middle digit. Okay. So, I'm going to leave my screen up, but I'm going to get into chapter 7, and I'm going to tell you where I'm at. Okay, so out of all 3 systems, I will tell you the easiest one is the straight numbering filing system. And that's because that's just pretty much filing records in strict chronological order from lowest to highest. So like say for instance, and you can write these down. Let's say for instance, my chart numbers were 3, 8, 2, 5, 7, and 10. Okay, everybody write those numbers down. 3, 8. Let me see. Let me put another slide up here. So let's say, for instance, my numbers were 3, 8, 2, 5, 7, 10. Okay, so straight numbering. What was straight numbering of these numbers? If I was just doing straight numbering says you just go chronological order from lowest to highest. How then would I write these?
2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10.
Everybody see that?
Yes.
That's the easiest one to do. The ones that are a little bit more difficult is the terminal digit filing and the middle digit filing. Okay, the terminal digit and the middle digit. So terminal digit filing is pretty much, and I have it in your notes. Okay, so in terminal digit filing, in your notes, you look at the primary, secondary, and tertiary numbers. So you may want to make the notation of that if you don't already have your notes up. Terminal digit filing, look at primary, secondary, and tertiary numbers. Your primary number, now, and let me say this first. Terminal digit filing, middle digit filing, straight numerical filing, all of them are based off of 6-digit numbers. These are 6-digit numbers. Okay, so for the terminal digit, the primary number is located at the end of the patient number. That's where the primary number is. That's the end of the patient number. So let me give you an example. Let me do another slide. So this is going to be terminal digit filing. Let's say for an example, you had the numbers 13-50-05. Okay. And we're looking at primary, secondary, tertiary. The primary number, remember I said that's the end of the patient number. You're looking at the 2 digits. So what's the primary number in this particular file?
05.
05. Okay. The secondary number is the middle of the patient number. What's the secondary number in this example?
50.
50. And the tertiary number is the beginning of the patient number. What's the tertiary number in this example?
13.
13. Okay. So when we do terminal digit, when you're looking at terminal digit filing, you look from primary first. You go by primary first, then you go to secondary number, and then tertiary number. So, for an example, if you were given let's see, let me give you some examples. So I'm gonna pull up a Word document and show it to you. So let's say, for instance, you had these numbers right here. Okay, everybody see these numbers right here?
39, 8401.
Huh?
That's the one you're doing.
Are y'all see my Word document?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I want us to do first. Before we do the terminal digit, I want us to look at this first, and let's do the straight numbering first. So take these numbers, let me highlight them. Okay, these numbers right here that are highlighted in yellow, I want y'all to look at those numbers, and I want you to, if you had to put them in straight number order, what order will you put those in? So I'm going to give you all a few minutes to do that first because they're easier. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about straight numbering. When you do straight numbering, you ain't looking at no primary, secondary. You looking at the first 2 numbers when you're doing straight numbering. If you're not going to remember that, write that down because you're going to need to know that when you're doing your activity. When you're doing the straight numbering system, you look at the first 2 numbers in order to file your records. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll give y'all a few minutes and you just shout out when you got those done. Those should be pretty easy.
Okay, so my question now would be: we're putting the numbers in the first column in straight number order. Okay, I don't know how I'm supposed to be asking this.
Okay, so
Okay.
I want you to ignore the fact that you see this chart. Just kind of ignore that. What I want you to do is Write down, I want you to write down those numbers on your paper. Make your own chart. Write down those numbers. Just like you see them now, write them down. But then I want you to make your own 3 columns. One that says straight number, terminal digit, and middle digit. But don't do anything with terminal and middle. Let's do straight number first. Does that make sense?
We're gonna put these numbers on the left hand side in straight number order in the straight number column. Okay.
Right, but you need to make that on your own paper. So on your own paper, you write down the numbers just like you see them in the way I got them listed. Write them down like that, and then come over to the right hand side. Name a column that says straight number. Then make one that says terminal digit, then one that says middle digit. Take those numbers that you see, put them in straight number first. So that means you will rewrite those numbers as to how you would file them if your facility was using straight numbering system. Now does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I finished.
Okay.
I did finish.
Okay.
First 2 I already did.
We're going to go over them answers before we move to terminal. All right, everybody done?
Yeah.
What'd you say, Kiana?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's because you don't understand? You waiting on me?
No. I'm working it. I'm
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I'm process filing.
Huh?
Okay.
Okay. Taquita, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am. I'm through.
Okay. All right. So,
Oh, yes, ma'am.
okay. So what y'all put for the first number?
10.
1040.99.
All right. Next number.
1140.98.
Nope.
1139.
39.
It should be 1139.98. Why?
The 39 come before 40.
Yes. So you got to make sure you look at your numbers really, really careful. If your first, anytime you have multiple charts who have the same number, you always go to the next number depending on if you're doing straight, terminal, or middle. So because we're doing straight numbering and we're just filing strictly from left to right, straight in chronological order, when we look at 11, then we got to go to the next 2 numbers. So we're dealing with 39 and 40. So that should be 1139.98 and then 1140.98. Okay, now keep on for me, please.
1240.
Okay, 1240.98.
1240.98.
Uh-huh.
1483.06.
1483.06. Okay.
158406.
158406, okay.
230154.
All right, keep going.
240154.
Keep going.
398301.
Keep going.
398401.
Keep going.
565306.
And last one.
901754.
Awesome. Everybody got that. Don't lose this paper. Whatever you do, I'm begging you, don't lose this paper because I'm telling you, your activity tomorrow, it's going to be a lot of numbers. Don't lose this paper because it's going to really, really be a great help to you. Okay, so we pretty much understand straight number. That's always the easiest one. Now let's look at the terminal digit. Okay, with terminal digit filing, I'm going to repeat this one more time to make sure you got it. You read your numbers in terminal digit filing from right to left. If you're not going to remember that, write that down. Terminal digit filing, you read those numbers from right to left. That's where you read those numbers, from right to left. So when you do that, you read it from right to left, primary, secondary, tertiary. And remember, primary is the last two numbers at the end. Secondary is the two middle numbers. Tertiary is the two beginning numbers. Now that you know that, take them same numbers that I gave you. Take them same numbers, the ones I have highlighted, not the ones you just wrote in straight number, the ones I have highlighted. Take those numbers and now put them in terminal digit chronological order. Based on the rules we just said, start from right to left, looking at the primary numbers first. If those primary numbers are the same, you go to the secondary number, which is the two middle numbers. If those numbers are the same, you go to the tertiary number, which is the two numbers at the beginning. And then you can let me know when you're done, okay?
Okay. I think I got it.
I think so too.
All right, Stephanie, are you done?
Yeah, I just finished.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's go down through here. Okay, I'm ready when you all are.
398301,
Okay.
398401,
Okay.
565306,
Okay.
148306,
Okay.
158406,
Okay.
230154,
Okay.
240154,
Okay.
901754,
Okay.
113989. I'm sorry, 98,
Okay.
114098,
Okay.
124098,
Okay.
and 104099.
Superb. Okay, everybody got those, right? Does anybody, before we go to middle digit, because it's gonna be a little bit more confusing. So I think everybody's good on straight numbering. Is everybody cool with the terminal digit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Now, the middle digit filing is somewhat of a variation of terminal digit. So remember the terminal digit, you read from right to left, and you did primary, secondary, and tertiary. Now, in the middle digit filing, it's a little bit different in that it assigns the middle digit as primary, the digits on the left as secondary, and the digits on the right as tertiary. I know I just completely confused you.
Okay, well,
I
the middle digit becomes primary.
Yes. Now, so with middle digit filing, that's why it's called middle digit filing, because your middle digits are now classified as your primary number. So when you get ready to file, you're going to look at your middle digits first. If your middle digits are the same, then you're going to go and look at your left side. And because now your left digits in middle digit is secondary, where in terminal digit, your left digits were tertiary, but they're different in middle digit. So middle digit starts with the two middle numbers. If they're the same, you go to the left and look at your secondary numbers. If they're the same, then you go to the end and look at your right numbers, and those are your tertiaries. So y'all got any questions? Did I totally confuse you?
Yes, you did.
I did totally confuse you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not really.
I think I got it.
So let me hold up. I don't want to totally. Okay, so let's see. Let's do this right here. So we know that this number is first, and we know that terminal digit, our first number is here. Okay. So this is what I want you to look at. You see this? I'm gonna highlight this number. Well, I wanna put some more. So 39 dash.
Would the first one be 230154?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you was looking at these two numbers right here, this is just a pretend, okay? So if you was looking at these two numbers right here, I highlighted them a different color. So we was looking at these two numbers right here. And let's just look at these two. If I told you to take these two numbers and put them in middle digit order, how would you put these numbers? Who would be first?
83.
Why would the 83 be first?
It's the middle number.
84.
Right. That's the number that comes before 84. So when you're looking at this right here, this 83 in terminal digit, okay, let's go back. In terminal digit, using this number right here, that first number, 398301, What is the primary number?
0, 1.
0, 1. In middle digit,
And
okay, in middle digit, what's the primary number?
Is that 83?
83, yes. In terminal digit, what's the secondary number?
Um, 82.
Yes. In middle digit, what's the secondary number?
39.
39. In terminal digit, what's the tertiary number?
0, 1.
Mm.
No.
Terminal digit.
Wait. You said terminal was the tertiary?
Yeah, what's the tertiary
Oh,
number?
so yeah, 0, 1.
That's your primary number. In terminal digit, that's
Oh, so I was wrong. 39.
39. But in middle digit, what's your tertiary number?
Yeah. We on the second one, right?
It doesn't. Yeah, on the second. If terminal digit for this number is 39, if my
Right.
terminal digit, if my tertiary number is 39, in middle digit, what's my tertiary number?
Oh, 0, 1.
0, 1. Okay. So again, I'm gonna say it one more time. In terminal digit, you read from right to left. Primary,
Mhm.
these first one right here. This is your secondary right there. Here's your tertiary right here.
Mhm.
But in middle digit, your primary number would be 83.
39.
Okay. And I'm just kind of typing this out. I'm just typing it out so you can just kind of see it. Your primary number would be 83. And then your secondary number would be the 39. And your your tertiary number would be the 0, 1. If you was doing middle digit. That's not the order you put this in. I just typed those out so that you can see what the actual numbers are. But if you had these two numbers and had to put them in middle digit filing in chronological order, you will have to put the 39-8301 first. And that's because 83 is your primary number. 84 is your primary number. Which of these two come before each other? It'll be the 83. Now, let's say for an example, you had, let's say both of these were the same, and then you had this right here. So let's say, for instance, you had this scenario. Let's say, and we'll change this. Okay, so let's say in this scenario, your middle digit, you was doing middle digit filing, and look at your primary number. Both of them the same, right? So if both of them the same, what do you look at next? Do you look at the left side or the right side?
The left.
left.
The left side. So looking at the left side, the numbers are different. Now who do you file first?
38.
38. Okay. What would you do if you had this? Let's say, for instance, your primary number for middle digit is the same. You go to your secondary number to the left, they the same. Now the only thing you got is the right. Who would you file first?
Right. The 0, 1.
The 0, 1. Now does that make sense?
Yes and no.
Okay, what part of it doesn't make sense?
Well, you messed me up once you said that the order is not the way we originally had it.
Right. The order is not. And it's one of those things. Now, when it comes to that, you're going to have to memorize that. You got to know that. You got to know that when I'm doing terminal digit filing, I file from right to left. And the reason you file from right to left is because your primary number starts on the what? Right or the left?
So the terminal is
Not on the right.
Right. Terminal Your primary number starts on the right. That's how come you file from right to left, because your primary starts on the right. The reason you file middle digit starting with the middle is because your primary number starts in the middle. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So with terminal digit, you have to file from right to left because primary starts on the right. See, for terminal, it's almost like you're going backwards because you got a 6-digit number. So look at like this number right here. This very first one I have highlighted. You got a 6-digit number. Terminal digit says, look at the 99 first because that's my primary. The 40 is classified as my secondary. The 10 is my tertiary. When I'm filing that way, that's terminal digit. Middle digit says, look at the 40 first because 40 is primary, 10 is secondary, 99 is tertiary. So terminal digit, you start from the right, go to the left. You start from the right because your primary number is on the right. And you go primary, secondary, tertiary. Last, middle, first. In middle digit, you start in the middle first. You start in the middle first, and if they the same, go to the left. If it's the same, go all the way to the end. But you start in the middle first for middle digit 5. Now does that make sense?
Hey, Miss Gaines.
Huh?
Miss Gaines.
Yes.
I think I got it. Can I give you like is this it right here?
Give me the first. You can give me
The-
Give me the first 5 numbers that you got.
Okay, I have 230154,
Mm-hmm.
240154.
Uh-huh.
I have 901754,
Uh-huh.
113998.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and the fifth one is 104099.
Okay. All right. Who wants to take the next 3 or 4?
I don't get how you got that.
Huh?
How you get that? What you did to put that in the order?
Okay.
I look. Can I?
'Cause that's really what's my confusion, like the order that y'all put.
Starting with the middle number first. So your order gonna start with your middle number, which is in our case would be 01 in order. Then you will move to the left side after the 01. And you see 23 will come before 24.
You see that
So
part?
your order for the first 2 is gonna be 230154, then 240154. Now looking in the middle digits, your next number in order is gonna be 17. So 91754 is gonna be your
Okay. So let me do this right here. This is what I'm gonna do. See, the reason I didn't want to fill this chart out is because if I fill this chart out, what'll happen is instead of students looking at the highlighted section, they'll be looking at these numbers and trying to put them in order, and then they just kind of get confused. That's why I've been kind of leaving it blank and do one column at a time. So what I'm gonna do as we go through the numbers in the middle, I'm gonna strike them out here, because that way you won't have to. You know, if it's struck out, you can't use it. Okay, so now we done struck out them 2. So now look at what you got left. Who gonna be next? Remember, once you spot out what's my number I'm looking at, then from there you start thinking, okay, chronological order. Because what happens, terminal and middle, they're building off of straight. So if you determine, well, I got to go by my primary number first. Once you gather what your primary number is, and you're looking at your primary numbers, now you reverse your brain to go back to straight. So now I got to put them in chronological order. At the end of the day, you still got to put them in chronological order. It's just you're going to just use a different filing system to do that, but you're going to still have to come up with the same end result. They still have to be filed from lowest to highest, but it's based on the number you're looking at the time. So when we're looking at middle digit, I know in your mind you probably think, well, how 23 would come before that because 23 no, but you not looking, you can't look at it like that because what if your two middle digits were not the same? It ain't no guarantee that 230154 would actually be your first number.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So now that you know, like what Kiana was saying, so you know 01 was the same. So you can't file based off that. So now you come over to the left. Now you're looking at 23, 24. When you're looking at them two numbers, you got to then go back and think straight numbering. I got to put them in order from least to highest. So now that's why 23 gonna come before the 24. So now we got them out the way. Looking at our middle digits again, and remember, looking at the middle digit, you looking at the middle digit, but in your mind you're thinking lowest to highest. So who next?
901754.
Huh? All right, now let's strike that out. Who next?
You said 1739. Not 17, but 1139.98.
Okay. All right. Who next?
1040.99.
Mm-hmm. Who next?
Wait. 1140.98.
Okay. All right. Who next?
1240.98.
All right. Who next?
565306.
Mm-hmm. All right. Who next?
Crap. 39.
Mm-hmm.
8301.
Mm-hmm. Go back. Look at it again.
Okay, wait. What was that?
And you see the 83. You can't use that. Now look at your numbers on the left. Who the least?
Oh, okay.
Huh?
148306.
Uh-huh. Now you're going to put who?
158406.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I'm still at 83. That's right. 398301.
All right.
What I got left? Okay. Then it's 158406.
Okay.
And the last one, 398401.
Okay.
Okay. It makes
So
sense.
now, when you look, now that you got it all filled in, now look at your number.
Mm-hmm.
Just go through there and look at them middle digits. You see how those middle digits, number one, they're all in chronological order from least to highest. You see that? And then look at those that are like duplicates. You see your 01s and your 40s. Look how when you look to the left, look how it's still in chronological order. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You would think, looking at this, you would think, 10 come before all of this. 10 can't come before all of that because the middle digit between 1040.99 and 2301 is 01. You don't go by that. That's what you do in straight numbering. And you will do it different in terminal digit. Because if you notice, I'm gonna put this up here so you can see how none of these numbers are gonna be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want you to look at all three of these numbers right here. All three of these numbers. I'm gonna put a color on each one of them.
Okay.
None of these numbers are the same. If you look, I don't like that color. That's not loud enough. I need something loud. Okay, none of these numbers are the same going across.
Okay.
See how the filing system. So if I was working at a facility that did this and I had these same file numbers now, this gonna be my first number. If you working in a different facility and y'all do terminal digit, same files now, this gonna be your first one. Or if you working in a system that does middle digit filing, same file numbers, this gonna be your first one. None of those numbers are going to be the same because they're different based on the numbering system that you use. That's what makes the difference. It's the numbering system. And remember,
Yeah.
in terminal digit, you read from right to left, with your primary number being on the right. And for middle digit, you read middle, then left, then right, with your primary number being the middle digit. That's why it's called middle digit filing. It starts in the middle.
Okay.
Okay? Does it make sense to everybody?
Yeah, it does now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taquita, Kiana, yeah, it makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
So what we did today, don't lose this, okay? Don't lose that particular chart that you did today, because that's going to be something that you can reference back to. Your book also has examples in there when it talks about those different systems that you can refer back to as well. But I will tell you, you're going to have at least 2 huge assignments on numbering systems. I will tell you that you're going to have 2 of them. I don't want you to worry so much about your quiz. You're going to have a quiz out there, but both of your quizzes that are set up for this week, both of them will not be due until Friday. So that's going to give you an opportunity to concentrate and focus on getting your activity done for what you got to do for the numbering systems. That'll give you an opportunity to kind of concentrate on that because they will be huge. You'll have 2 huge assignments for the numbering system. Okay, so and I give you a lot of that because I really want you to understand them. You may see some of it again on the final exam, and I want to make sure that you have a clear understanding. And I don't want you to be, not understanding that you kind of get stuck on your midterm and final and all that kind of good stuff. So that's why I make sure that I take out the time on the go-to meetings, or even if we was in the class, we was in the classroom, it'd be the same thing. If we was in the classroom, I'd be writing all over the board because then I'll just be standing up there and numbers will just come to my mind and I'll just start spewing them out my head. But I do that so that I can make sure the students got it. And the straight numbering is always the easiest. The terminal digit and the middle digit is what's kind of difficult for students at first. But then once they get the hang of it, they're okay. They're pretty much okay. But I know tomorrow you're going to have 2 numbering systems exercises. You're going to have a quiz. Your quiz will be due on Friday. So your main thing to get done tomorrow is going to be the numbering system activity, not the quiz. And then on Wednesday, you will do pseudo numbers, Soundex codes. You'll do some exercises with those. And then on Thursday, you're going to do something with master patient indexes. And basically all that is I'm going to give you a handout. I'm going to actually give you a handout that is an example of a disease index, a procedure index, and a physician index. And that's all in chapter 8. And all you're really doing is looking at those indexes and answering questions. That's all you're doing. Do y'all remember when last month I gave you those EOBs and the remittance advices, and you know how all you had to do was look at the figure and answer the questions? That's pretty much all you do for that. That's all you're going to do for that particular activity. Okay? Y'all have any questions?
No, I get it.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I have to give my apology because I haven't had students on a call this long since I did healthcare finance. Kiana can tell you that. But whatever it took for me to get it over to you to make sure you understood it, we just did what we had to do. And I mean, when nobody could stay on the call, they just left. But I didn't have that issue. Everybody stayed on the call because they were trying to get it. But I normally don't hold calls this long, and I do apologize for the length of it. But I needed to make sure and wanted to make sure that you understand about the numbering systems and the pseudocodes and the Soundex codes before you actually start doing your activities. Yes, you can read it in the book, but if you kind of have my guidance, it just makes it a little bit better. So I hope that the examples I provided to you today was a big help. I hope they were. I promise the next meeting for next week won't be long like this at all because it'll be week 4. So you have my promise on that. Okay. I do need you all to, since we're on week 3, I always tell students to, or ask students to make sure they check their portal. Make sure you check your portal to see what you have next month. Stephanie, make sure you are set for next month as far as your interview with your site, where you're going, all that. If you haven't heard anything from Miss Davis, you need to reach out to her this week and get all that stuff. You got to get all that stuff set in order because by the time classes start back up, you got to be ready to go. I think at the end of this month, you all should have a break week, I believe.
Yeah.
I
have a meeting on the 20th.
Oh, okay, you got your externship meeting.
And I did fill out some paperwork, but I had to do it with Miss Thomas because Miss Davis wasn't there on Thursday when I was there.
Oh, okay. So you did your paperwork. Okay, good. Okay. You already reviewed at your site yet?
No, I hadn't talked to nobody about my site yet.
Okay, so you might want to try to reach out to me today. She normally gets to campus at 1:30. So she should have given you her phone number, and you should have an email address. So try to email her and reach out to her and see if she got you she know where you're going for your site yet, so you can get your site interview done and stuff like that. Okay, try to take care of that this week.
All right.
Okay, but yeah, she's normally there Monday through Thursday, and she normally gets there about 1:30.
Okay.
Okay. Other than that, ladies, unless y'all have any other questions, I appreciate you all attending the meeting. Just reach out to me if you run into a little snag this week with your assignments, okay? And then make sure you get your midterm done tonight, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, ladies, so much for attending, okay?
All right.
Okay, all right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.